bienvenidos a mi canal, me llamo Jalen y hoy en día yo voy a hablar un poquito en español para mostrar mi español. Y también yo voy a usar mi inglés para explicar. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jalen Mitchell. If you did not understand my intro, which was in Spanish, I was basically saying that I'm going to speak a little bit in Spanish so that I can show you guys, and then I'm going to be explaining everything in English because I know that a lot of my followers, most of my followers even, speak English, and I really don't want to do subtitles, so there's that. It's sad that I even have to do this, but I feel like I do. I just want to go ahead and throw in a little disclaimer. This is how I learned Spanish. This is how I became conversational. I'm really hoping that this will help you guys out if you're looking to learn Spanish, but to each his own. Everyone might have a different process. Your process may be different than mine, but I'm hoping that this can be helpful just to, you know, trial and error, figure out what works, figure out what doesn't work, and keep it pushing. So a little bit about my background. I am 75% African American and 25% Mexican. My grandmother on my mom's side is from Mexico. I did not grow up bilingual. I only grew up speaking English, and then later I decided to learn Spanish. My mom speaks Spanish fluently, my grandmother speaks Spanish fluently, and that side of the family speaks Spanish fluently, but I did not grow up with Spanish being spoken all the time. My mom did not really want to speak it very much, so she would always talk to me in English. Now, my grandmother, on the other hand, she would speak more in Spanish, but she wasn't around all the time, so I didn't really, you know, pick up on it that much, but I did have a good idea of what Spanish should sound like. So I guess that definitely helped, and I guess a couple phrases I knew and stuff like that from just growing up around it. I took 3 years of Spanish in high school, my sophomore, junior, and senior year. That was interesting. I feel like that helped me learn some grammar and some vocab, but when I left high school, still wasn't speaking it. Then I decided to take it a little step further and learn Spanish and take Spanish as my minor in college. And that alone, I learned more grammar, more vocab, and it still didn't make me fluent or conversational. That is crazy. But it gave me a good base for Spanish. So I could understand a lot of Spanish because I had this base of vocab and grammar. But I still didn't feel comfortable speaking, which is crazy because that's all I wanted. That's literally all I wanted. I didn't want to write an essay in Spanish. I didn't want to do none of that other stuff. I wanted to be able to talk with people. I wanted to be able to communicate, and I could not, and it was sad. And at a certain point, I was just like, maybe language learning just isn't for me. Maybe I'm not cut out for it. But the way I see it, our brains are hardwired to learn languages. You weren't born with any language. You learned it, you acquired it. So I was like, I'm not gonna give up that easy. Like, you're gonna have to come a little harder. So one of the first things I tried outside of school was Duolingo. Now, I think if you don't know what Duolingo is, it's basically an app, a language learning app. And I did that. I think it's good for maintaining your Spanish and making sure you're up to date, but as far as teaching me a whole language, I think not. And that's just me being honest. I like to use it to help me use my Spanish more, because if you don't use it, you lose it. And I don't want to lose it, especially after working so hard to have it. Yeah, Duolingo for me was more about maintaining, but you might want to look it up. It is a free app, you know, just in case that's something that you might be interested in. And it really may help you get some more vocab and just like a tiny bit of grammar. But in my opinion, they did not do a great job on the whole grammar thing, because they don't tell you why. Why am I doing this? They missed the connection, in my opinion. So the reason I learned Spanish was basically to be able to communicate with my family better, because I have family members who don't speak very much English, and I just wanted to have more of a personal relationship with them. I wanted to be able to talk to them, you know, if I wanted to. I just wanted to be able to express myself and to be understood, and to not constantly have people translating for me. I feel like, yes, you can have a conversation, someone can translate, but it's not the same as hearing it firsthand. And some things, they lose their meaning when you transfer them in different languages. They just don't mean the same thing, or it doesn't have the same oomph, if you will. The other reason is I like to travel a lot, and I wanted to be able to speak when I went to these Spanish-speaking countries. I wanted to be able to, you know, use the Spanish and use it to help me get around, to do things, just so I felt more comfortable when I was studying abroad, traveling abroad, what have you. So how I learned Spanish, like I mentioned previously, I had a good base on vocab and grammar from taking all those years of Spanish. Let me tell you, can't believe I wasn't conversational after that. But the crazy thing was I could write a 5-page essay in Spanish before I could freaking speak for 1 minute, have a conversation for 1 minute in Spanish. It was lopsided like a mug, okay? How is it that I can listen, read, and write in Spanish, read a whole book in Spanish, write a whole 5-page essay in Spanish, but I get tense when somebody want to talk to me? You say hola, I say, huh? That's ridiculous, isn't it? But I think it's something, you know, basically with the school system, if you want me to be honest with you, the US school system, I don't think they do a very good job of teaching foreign languages. And I feel like in other places, it's more important, it's more vital for them to learn that second or third language, and it is expected, and people perform and they actually do learn those languages. But the English school system, we're all like, oh, well, you know, people are gonna learn English anyway, so what does it matter if we know another language? Listen, the way they teach it in the US is basically memorization based, and if you can memorize, you can pass. And boy, could I memorize. I could not only pass, I could get A's in that bad boy because it was just memorization. You're rarely and barely forced to speak and have a full conversation. So my take on that, one way that really helped me to learn Spanish is I had to find a way to make it fun for me. That boring stuff, it ain't for me, okay? Book work ain't for me. That made me dread it. So a part of making it fun is I would listen to Spanish music. I've always loved Spanish music. I grew up listening to Spanish music. Spanish music is the bomb.com, okay? I feel like some of the best love songs are in Spanish. Like, can I get a como la flor? Can I get that? Can I have it? So basically when I would listen to these songs and stuff like that, I would come across words and phrases that I didn't understand, and I would use my good old buddy, Google Translate. Now, Google Translate is not 100% accurate, so I do not recommend putting in a whole paragraph or anything like that, but for little words and phrases, it can actually be helpful. Like I said, I had a good base of Spanish grammar and, you know, Spanish vocab, so most of it I was understanding, but it was just for extra clarification. I might have understood the general idea of what was being said in the song, but I want to know, like, what does this sentence mean? I ain't never heard that word before. That's what I wanted to look up. But it made it fun for me. Like, I'm already listening to this music, I'm already jamming. I just want to know, like, how did she break up with this guy in the song? Like, how did it happen? What did he do? What did he do? So the next thing was TV shows. I watched some Spanish TV shows. I watched La Reina del Sur. I watched that. That was, I didn't watch the whole thing, I'm gonna be honest with you. You know, I watched that maybe like a couple episodes. It didn't really pull me as much as I thought it would, but basically it's Queen of the South, but it's the Spanish version. If you didn't know, Queen of the South was first in Spanish and then they made it into English, and there are a couple differences and stuff like that. But it was fun. You know what I'm saying? It's like a soap opera. It's fun. So when you're first learning, I definitely recommend using English subtitles when you're watching those Spanish TV shows. Then I would recommend, you know, once you get a little more advanced, you like, oh, this is easy peasy lemon squeezy, switch it up on them. Go ahead and take those English subtitles and make them Spanish subtitles, okay? And then when you big, bad, and bold, take the subtitles away and see what you understand. So it's a process, and it's crazy how you get to do that. But basically, this allowed me to increase my Spanish input without having to go to outside sources. I was making sure that I was hearing more Spanish. I was making sure that I could understand more Spanish because I was listening to it more often. I really feel like having Spanish input is important because if you don't understand what's being said to you, you won't know how to respond. So you need to first understand. If someone asks you a question, you want to know what they asked, and then you want to be able to respond. Someone asks you a question and you don't understand what they're saying, it doesn't matter if you can say it in English or not. You don't understand how to answer the question in any language because you don't understand what was being said. Understand how they talk, understand what it means, and then you can try to understand how to communicate and how to respond. So the next thing is I had to force myself, and this doesn't go along with making it a chore or anything like that. I had to force myself to speak Spanish because it did not come naturally for me. It was outside of what I was used to, so it was uncomfortable, and I had to get somewhat comfortable with being uncomfortable, or else I was never going to speak it. Because if you never speak it, you're never going to feel comfortable. So you just have to let the discomfort settle in, and then you have to get over it. You have to understand that you're going to make mistakes. You have to understand that it's okay to make mistakes, and that if you never try, you will never succeed. Those mistakes are on your way to success. So that's what I realized when it came to speaking Spanish. It wasn't always going to be perfect. People were going to correct me, and I just had to use those corrections to learn better and do better for the next time. But mostly what you'll find is, even when you make mistakes, people still understand you. You know, you make mistakes and you're still understood. I still to this day make mistakes. My Spanish is not perfect. My Spanish is not as good as my English, but it is still very much so conversational. Interesting story about me trying to get more comfortable with being uncomfortable. The crazy thing is, for the longest time, my family had never heard me speak Spanish. They had no idea how much Spanish I knew or didn't know. I guess they just assumed I didn't know anything, because I would not speak Spanish because I felt so uncomfortable. I felt like I would be judged because most of their Spanish is better than mine. It's either their first language or they're bilingual, or, you know, Spanish comes easy for them. So when it came to me, I'm like, I'm going to stick out like a sore thumb. I'm going to be judged. And if I make a mistake, I'm gonna feel bad about it, or, you know, they're gonna talk about me or whatever. I just didn't feel comfortable with it, to be honest with you. And to this day, they still don't hear me speak very much Spanish. If they watch my videos, that's probably the most Spanish they hear, just because, you know, the path of least resistance. Why would I use my Spanish when everybody understands me? That was kind of, you know, my dilemma. So the last thing that I feel that helped me to be conversational in Spanish is I studied abroad. Now, I'm one of those people that experience really helped me. I did study Spanish abroad, but that wasn't the helpful part. The helpful part was outside of the classroom. When I went outside and I had to communicate constantly in Spanish. If I want to order food, if I want to go to the bar, if I want to, you know, go out to the clubs, if I want to, you know, different communication issues, just, you know, getting on the train, the bus, and what time does this close, and just the everyday communication, constantly, every single day, speaking and using my Spanish. And that really helped me. It helped me so much. And this is why I was being forced to use my Spanish, because the people that I was talking to, they only spoke Spanish. So the path of least resistance was literally for me to speak Spanish. I knew more Spanish than they knew English, and so that was the easiest way for me to communicate. If I wanted to get things done, that's how I had to do it. And I was there for a month, y'all, so I had to really use that Spanish all the time. And it's crazy because Argentina was the first time that I got to know how much Spanish I really knew, because there were no family members there to help me, to communicate for me. It was me, and I wasn't always with, you know, a teacher or something like that. So it was me. It was, you know, I was out with my group or whatever, but if I wanted to communicate, I needed to use what I knew, and that's when it really clicked. All the Spanish that I had been studying for so long, and the grammar and speaking just kind of came together because I had to. And I know that sounds so crazy, but I definitely recommend it. If you can study abroad, study abroad. You know, get a good base for whatever language you're trying to learn, but then study abroad. And I promise you, or I can't promise you, but it really sealed some stuff off for me. I'm like, I can do this. I can connect and connect. Sometimes I would lose my English words. Like I'd be like, how do you say, because I couldn't think. I could only think of the word in Spanish. So that was definitely an interesting experience. If you guys want to know about my trip to Argentina, my studying abroad for a whole month, I could do a whole story time on that, because let me tell you, it was extremely interesting. There were some ups, but there was some downs too. You know what I'm saying? If y'all want me to do a story time on that, I definitely can, because it's an interesting one. Woo! Finalmente yo quiero decir que si tú quieres, tú puedes. Y ya está. Y ya. Okay? I do want to say that if you want to, you can, and that's it. That's it. Espero que te guste este video sobre español, y tal vez voy a hablar más en español y a hacer más videos en español. Yo no sé, dime en los comentarios y todo eso. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video, and maybe I will do some more videos in Spanish or about Spanish. So yeah, bye guys.